Hi, I'm Brian Jones of No Look Scuba at Sky Magazine. We're here at the 2011 Club Championships, brought to you by USA Ultimate, for another edition of Warm Up for the quarterfinals of Open Division tomorrow morning. I'm here with Tyler Kinley of Seattle Sockeye, Ian Toner of Inside Breaks, and Zach Smith, also of No Look Scuba. So guys, we have a number of matchups looking forward to tomorrow. So our first quarterfinal matchup is Revolver versus Southpaw. Revolver, the number one seed of the tournament. Southpaw coming out of the pre-quarters win over Truck Stop. What do we expect to see in this game?
Well, you know, we've seen Revolver play incredibly well this entire tournament, and Southpaw has clawed their way through. Their mantra has been chop, 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 and they've been sticking to their one single style of play. So far, it's worked against middle-tier opponents, but I don't think you can bring that type of non-dynamic game and reliance on just chopping, you know, wearing a team down. Like it just won't work against a team like Revolver. However, it is a tough matchup for Revolver, knowing they have to beat a team with their legs going deep into a tournament. So it's actually kind of a tough draw for Revolver, even though I'm picking them to win.
Southpaw seems to be outmatched in this competition. Do you see Southpaw having any chance, and how are they going to be successful if they are?
Well, I have to agree with Tyler's point about them only sticking with this one game plan going into this game, and how their lack of dynamicism and lack of adaptability is something that's going to hurt them in this matchup. I mean, hats off to them for making it this far. I love their handler movement. Trey Katzenbach, David Brandoff. They've been doing a fantastic job taking care of the disc. But Revolver is just too structured, too strong, too defensively deep for Southpaw to deal with.
Zach, you saw Southpaw versus Truck Stop in the pre-quarters. What did Southpaw do well, and what do you expect out of this game?
I think these two guys hit it very well. It's definitely Southpaw's system that propelled them forward. It kind of reminds me a lot about Stanford at Nationals. Stanford really valued the disc, and you know, they punched in their break opportunities. Southpaw was the exact same way, and frankly, they didn't really give Truck Stop a lot of opportunities to break them. Their offense was very consistent. You know, it might have been stagnant sometimes. It might have relied on a few, you know, very, very late stall throws, but you know, it worked for them. The thing about the difference is, you know, Truck Stop. You could talk about what happened in that game. You don't really have to. Revolver is always going to take every single opponent and completely seriously. Revolver's not the kind of team that's going to look past a team like Southpaw. They know that they're in the quarterfinals of Nationals. They know what their goal is, and they're not going to play down to anyone. They're going to play their game. Another really cool thing about this is Southpaw is a very physical team, kind of like similar style of Ring of Fire on defense, and Revolver's dealt with that already. It's not gonna like none of that chippy foul stuff, none of that aggressiveness is really gonna phase a team like Revolver. They're all really experienced players, and they're ready to battle. And like Ian said, they just have way too much ammo on both sides of the disc for really most teams to stick with them. So
very long. The next matchup we're gonna look at is Double Wide versus Goat. We've seen Double Wide conquer their regional foe today in the day before in Chain Lightning, and we've seen Goat, kind of a team we weren't sure about, make it to the quarterfinals.
This is going to be a test of Double Wide's mentality. Right now, I think they're looking at quarters, and they're probably looking towards semis and finals. I think they're at risk of overlooking a Goat as they look ahead, and they can't do that. Goat is a team that can punish you. John Hassel's going to be a tough shutdown. It's not to say that Double Wide shouldn't win. I think this is a game that, at this point, given Double Wide's competitive history, this tournament especially, they should win this game, given what we've seen from Goat. But that doesn't count out Goat. Goat can do a lot of things, and they've got one of the best players in the nation, and probably the world, in John Hassel. So they could make some noise. I still pick Double Wide.
A lot of people know a lot about Double Wide. Zach Smith, you've got an inside look at Goat this year. What can you tell us about how they operate and how they're going to try to beat Double Wide?
I think most Goat and Furious operate very similarly, which makes the games between the two of them very interesting to watch. But like Canadian teams do, these teams really use the whole width of the field. They love to use the break side. And Goat, you know, I spoke to John Hassel. Goat was beat enough by Boston to learn that the consistent game is really effective. So they really picked it up this year, and it's showing at Nationals. You know, there's been plenty of situations where their backs were against the wall, marathon points, where you would expect them to start hucking it. You would expect them to start taking chances, and they've really stuck to their guns. They've really stuck to moving it. So they are a very consistent offense, and they are going to be able to move it on Double Wide. The only problem that I see is it's not about shutting down one guy on double wide. They do have Brody, they do have Kurt, and they have Kevin Richardson, and they have all these great players. But they're all on the line together. If you could shut down one, there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 other guys that could really punish you. So while I'm a GOAT fan, I do not think that they're going to be able to stop double wide.
Ian, do you agree with Tyler at all that their double wide might be looking a little bit too forward in this game?
I definitely think that could be happening. I also think that this game is going to be a real test of double wide's discipline. This morning in double wide's first game against Truck Stop, they were definitely favoring the long ball more than they did in their dismantling of chain on Thursday afternoon. So it's going to be a real test of their offensive discipline. Can they do what they need to do, whether that's swing the disc, whether that's dump the disc? Can they do what they need to do to take care of the disc offensively and not just throw the disc away to maybe a matchup that they might not win against a John Hassel or something like that?
Early in the year, double wide and GOAT met at Colorado Cup, and double wide came out the victor. So our next matchup is Ironside versus Madison Club. Madison Club being the other pre-quarter winner, coming over out with a win over Machine, and Ironside being the number 2 seed in this tournament, coming out of the power pools. What do you expect to see in this game, Tyler?
This is going to be an interesting matchup. Ironside's coming out hot. They're on a roll, both physically and mentally. And Madison is coming off of a 17-16, just a barn burner of a game that made them expend a lot of energy. They had to go deep into the roster, and still everyone was running. There's a lot of multiple turnover points. This is going to be a tough one for Madison to put together a complete game, let alone a 3/4 game. And I really see Ironside winning this one, dictating with their athletes, and potentially running away with it, knowing that they need to in order to save legs. So I really see Ironside coming in early, hard, and not letting up.
Ironside is definitely stacked with talent. Ian, do we see Southpaw with a chance to win that game?
Madison Club?
Madison Club.
To be frank, I don't think they have the legs or the depth to win that game. Tyler said it all very well.
Who has been playing well for Ironside so far, Zach?
There's definitely at least 14 of them. But from what I've seen, Peter Pryle and Danny Clark are an incredible duo. Peter Pryle is basically, you could view him as the next Danny Clark. And to have both of them on the field working together is really a sight to see. Obviously, George Stubbs is, he's great and he smiles a lot. And then you have Rusty and Goldsmith coming in late in the season, and he's a fantastic player. To come out and boost that D-line with Colin Mahoney, it's just, they have so many big players and big names. It's so hard to match up against them. A cool storyline on the side. You got a lot of Wisconsin players on Ironside, and you have current Wisconsin players on Madison Club. So there's going to be that little, back and forth between them. It'll be interesting to see them go against each other. And really, when it comes down to it, I do think Madison Club's going to be in it. I think Ironside's going to win, but I think Madison Club's going to be in it. And I think, besides the fact that they have legs and they have Colin Camp and, he's a great downfield cutter, they have Hector Valdivia. And he's been in this situation before. He played with Bravo in 07 when they played in the finals. He's a great leader and he's a great player. And these are his, Madison Club are Wisconsin players. They're current or recent alumni Wisconsin players that still live in Madison. And he's their coach. So he knows how to work with them. He knows what to do. And you know what? He might know how to play against his former mates. So we'll see.
It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited to watch two things. One, Russell Wallach stood out in the Ironside double wide game as a standout player, and it'll be sort of a rising star, especially
first year coming from Kenyon.
Yeah, exactly. The other one is after the Madison Club game, Hector was talking about how he's really excited to get into Muffin Brandon Malachek's head. So that'll be a fun one to watch for sure.
Definitely, and we'll probably see Ironside come out of that one, but be contentious with the Wisconsin players there. Next game to look at, the last one on the list, is Ring of Fire versus Chain Lightning. Ring of Fire winning their pool against Furious to get to this point and doing well in power pools. Chain Lightning coming off of a couple losses to double wide and Ironside. How do you see this game working out?
This is a tough one to call. Chain's been dealt a couple blows, and I guarantee you tonight they're going to have team huddles and talks about how they can ramp up their pressure and convert on O. Ring has also seen some setbacks in losing guys like Ken Porter, who they need to win. So it's going to be a toss-up, and I think it comes down to who's going to make those tiny big plays tiny big plays that make the difference.
Ian, you've played in Ring's region, and you also know a lot about Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning likes the long ball. What can you tell us about both teams?
I can say that Ring's offense is much improved over the course of the season. They've showcased their ability to work it deep, and they've showcased their ability to utilize their handler movement between Brett Matsuka, Paul Weeks, and Noah Saul whenever he likes to come back. That's going to be a challenge for Chain's dump defenders. Chain, however, has showcased its own ability to move the disc quickly under rather than always going for the deep ball and using the width of the field. You've seen Greg Swanson, you've seen Kieran Thomas, you've seen Grant Lindsley, you've seen Dylan Tennell, all show the patience they need. That being said, both teams have historically been known to have an itchy trigger finger. And the question is, are these guys going to pull the trigger finger when it hurts? When it gives up a break opportunity that someone else cashes in on? Too close to call. This one is going to be the best game in the quarterfinals.
Zach, do you agree with Ian Toner that both teams have an itchy trigger finger, and what do you expect out of this one?
I mean, I definitely agree that they have itchy trigger fingers. We watched Chain play Truck Stop, and I watched Ring play Goat, and I watched Ring play Revolver. There were two instances, both in Ring Revolver and Ring Goat, where Brett Matsuka got into a high stall situation and just
Didn't even look at his dump
and just threw a hammer. And it worked against Goat. It didn't work against Revolver. Those kinds of things aren't. Chain's one of those teams that's not really going to work. I agree that this is going to be the best game of the round, and I agree that it's going to be very close. But I like Chain better in this situation. I think Ring is very good at playing emotionally, very good at playing physical, but Chain's also a very physical team, and they're loaded with talent. And I think that's where you got to draw the difference. You know, I think Ring is incredibly athletic, and they're going to use their energy to keep them in it. But I think Chain has better skill players, and I think I don't want to say better skill players, but more skill players.
I think if there's going to be any difference maker in this game, Ring has two defensive units. One that likes to huck immediately off a turn, and one that likes to be a little more patient with the disc once they've gotten a turn. Taylor Pope anchors that aggressive D-line, and when his throws are on, that D-line is deadly. So the success and the efficiency of that aggressive D-line is going to determine the outcome of that game.
All right, so we've looked at all the matchups so far, and let's see what the predictions are for tomorrow.
You know, barring something monumental happening, I don't see Revolver losing, and the same with double wide. I think we're going to see a Revolver double wide semifinal. On the other side of the bracket, similarly, Ironside. The tough one to call is Chain and Ring. In this one, I'm probably, I'm going to go with Ring here. I think they've got it. I think they've got it in them. I think they want it badly. Not to say Chain doesn't, but I see Ring.
Gonna have to stick with Revolver and double wide. Also gonna go with Ironside. Chain, Ring. I'm gonna go with Chain unless we see a stellar performance from Ring's aggressive hucking D-line led by Taylor Pope.
I'm going to agree with Ian. I'm going to go Revolver, double wide, Ironside, Chain. And I think, obviously, we're all in agreement that Chain and Ring is going to be the closest game. But I think that, Chain's playmakers are going to be the difference.
Seems like we're all in agreement that Ring Chain is going to be the game to watch tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Warm Up. We're here with Sky Magazine at the 2011 Club Championships, brought to you by USA Ultimate. Thanks again. This has been Tyler Kinley, Ian Toner, Zach Smith, and Brian Jones.
Thank you.